We are back and better than ever. The Contractor's Edge, the podcast for contractors who want to build better businesses. You know, when I'm thinking about building a better business, I think financials, accounting, budgeting, maybe even some forecasting might be a crucial, essential piece of that. That's why we got a rock star in that field specifically for contractors, Erin Andrews, CEO of Level Accounting. Erin, what's going on? How are we doing today?
Great. How's it going? It's good. I can't complain,
We were buddies at JobTread Connect, booth buddies, so we got to hang out for a few days. And you got some personality for an accountant. When I'm thinking about an accountant, yeah, I'm thinking a little more dull. Like, how did that
Old white
personality? Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Like my dad.
Exactly. So I did some research on you, right? So I'm pretty sure like 98% of your clients are in the trades, right? And you're a
Yes.
third generational accountant.
Oh,
Is that correct?
yeah.
So tell me a little bit about your story. It sounded like your family was in the game, in the accounting game, the business side of things, but you had a different kind of perspective on it. And tell me a little bit about that.
Sure. So the third generation's kind of exaggerated, I guess. My grandmother was the bookkeeper for my grandfather's construction business.
Count it. I'm counting that all day.
It does count, I guess. But
Yeah.
my parents are, I guess, still are accountants. So I always said I would never go into accounting because it's lame. But here we are. So I did start working for them a little over 20 years ago. But the way we evolved our firm compared with my parents is they gave me awesome foundations. They were super into technology, really good in client experience. And they actually had already started like monthly accounting, which was kind of unique back then. But we branched off and started, we had different business names way back when, but really wanted to focus on really just businesses and business owners only on a monthly basis. And where we physically we were on Cape Cod. We started in Cape Cod in Massachusetts. We just had a lot of contractors, and we made a list of like our top 5 favorite clients. 4 of us all had contractors. It just fits with us. It's just I just like them. I don't relate well to. Yeah, I just don't relate well to like doctors or attorneys. I don't think it's my brand really. And yeah, I've always been told I am not a typical accountant, which is a wonderful compliment. I love my accounting friends. I'm huge in the accounting world too, so I do love my accountants. I'm just very different actually from them. So
what I like about you too is when you post, I can tell your passion when you say something about stop being this business that's giving all your money to the IRS, right? That's the energy that I want from my accountant, right? That is like mad about it. Like,
for sure.
What are some of those frustrations that you're seeing on a regular basis, right? Obviously, you need to be tax prep. There's forecasting, making sure you're writing this up, not doing this, right? There's a million different components and variables. But is there certain things that just really grind your gears, Erin?
Well, there's lots of things that grind my gears. I mean, I guess from a client perspective, I don't like it, or it grinds my gears when a business owner goes into business and sort of thinks of accounting and all of that goes into it as an afterthought, as something that someone can do randomly, that like my sister's mom's best friend, their spouse. Accounting is not, people always think I can learn QuickBooks and I can do accounting. Learning a software program does not make you an accountant. It does not. So that really irritates me because it's you're investing all this time into your business, which takes time and money in your life, and then you have no idea where your money is going. And some people literally just throw money away on taxes. A lot of people do because I see it all the time on Facebook. I just need a tax preparer for my S Corp. And I'm like, dude, I literally saw one today. It's April 30th. You don't take care of this last year. So that just drives me bananas. And then on the accounting side, what drives me crazy is accountants that treat their work like a product or a commodity, and they just come to you once a year. They barely respond to clients. They don't give them the right advice. They're just so busy, and I get it. Like we've lost about 55% of our accountants have left the industry in the past 5 years since COVID. And so there is a huge, yes. So like the people that are here right now, either they're still struggling. They're just so slammed with clients. They'll take anything that comes in the door. And then there's firms like mine who are trying to do something different, provide a different experience. So when people can't find good accountants, there's a reason for it. There's just a huge, everybody was just leaving. It's just leaving the industry. It's a hard industry to be part of, especially when people don't value the services that we provide. So we can't charge.
Yeah, that's
charge.
BS. I don't like that because it is so essential, right? I mean, like this is the third business I've had, and you're always looking for a good accountant and a good lawyer, right? Especially if you're looking to scale, because those are essential components, right? So that's gold, And so I got a couple things based off what you said here. All right, so I have a question first off. So is this a good like tax prep strategy? I have a bunch of money left and I need write-offs, so I go buy a bunch of trucks like at the end of the year. Is that a good
Do you need a
right
truck?
there? Well, I need to get my taxes down, Erin.
Well, if you don't, I know it's not.
But
you know that's
stuff
like
like
the most
that?
common thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you don't need the truck, why the hell would you want to spend the money on the truck? That's why you should have planned. Like, look at it in June, right? Like, what is it going to look like in December? You're not scrambling and buying a truck you don't need.
So what is like a good relationship and a good kind of plan with an accountant look like, right? Because I think like you're saying, too many people are waiting till the end of the year. All of a sudden, they have to write things off. They have to start getting planning for taxes, but they didn't have a strategy throughout the whole year, really, right? And so maybe that a bookkeeper or whatever it might be, but that's it, right? How do I kind of take the next level and actually having like a good relationship, a good strategy to implement throughout the year?
Well, there's a couple different ways you can go about it. Like you can have like payroll in one place, bookkeeping in another, and tax in another. That can work for some people. In some circumstances it makes sense. Other circumstances it just becomes too disjointed and there's not enough communication. So like the accountant's getting blamed for not tax planning, but the bookkeeper never caught the books up or even communicated the books were done. So that's one way. And it's also a lot of people to manage. I think like you are a business owner, so now you're managing 3 other people, that technically aren't on your team, but they are.
Yep.
So that's one method. The other one we do is like an all-in-one, we do the payroll, bookkeeping, and tax, and that just gives us like a whole holistic view of your accounting. So like payroll goes into tax planning and other things. So now we can adjust payroll directly. I don't have to go through somebody else. But I would just encourage people to look for someone that is super proactive. Honestly, I think you can tell a lot from a person's sales process. I mean, I go through sales process all the time with, other vendors, and if that accounting firm is responsive, even during April or March when they're super busy, that's probably going to tell you they're pretty responsive throughout the year. So just find someone that can be really proactive, works with you monthly, and then if you're signed up with that person and they're not getting you like the reports or whatever they promised, probably within whatever their timeline is, then I would be a little nervous after a little while. So yeah, 100%. They should have a clear timeline.
Are they proactive? Do they actually execute, get stuff done in a timely manner, good communication, all that kind of stuff?
I would also ask people to just say what kind of team is behind that owner. So there's nothing wrong with an owner doing the work, obviously. My husband's just now getting out of it, which is great. For us in general, we've done this a long time, but he's still in part of the business. But as long as the owner has backup, that he knows there's a support staff, because if there's no support staff, it's going to be very difficult for that accountant to actually put their attention on that client.
100%. So obviously, when you're looking at things like QuickBooks, right, you want to make sure you got your P&Ls, your balance sheets, right, those standard reports for tax time. Now, when you're looking at like a monthly basis, right, let's say I'm an owner of a contracting business. Is there certain numbers, metrics, reports, things I should be kind of just like reviewing, analyzing, making decisions based off of like throughout the year?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
What we got?
I think in general, business owners should do this. So obviously you want to look at like your job profitability, even just certain different types of jobs. Like if you have like kitchen remodels versus gutters or something like that, just to kind of see where you're making the most money. Like your gross profit margin. If you really want to know if you're making money in jobs, how much your overhead is too, and control that overhead. So a lot of people put their personal expenses through the business. And like, obviously you shouldn't put your personal expenses to the business, but owning a business, there is a benefit to, throw your cell phone bill in there or something like that. But you don't want to start chucking all this other stuff in here and then you're deducting it and then you have no idea what your true overhead is. So your overhead is basically everything that your income has to cover to run the business. So you really want to know that. Obviously your net profit, and then you want your net profit, net income, whatever, EBITDA, people call it, all sorts of things. Just so you know where your profit is, just so you can start tax planning and stay on top of that as well. You want to know your tax liability for the year. And then there's also, of course, all like, I love to get into like the sales and marketing metrics, but they all tie together though. So if like,
you like to get into sales and metric rather than marketing metrics.
Let's not talk about accounting. So let's talk about,
but how does that all tie in? How do you kind of analyze that, I guess, because that's kind of cool to be able to look at like the entire business at a different view than some accountant would.
So, I just like to, we don't necessarily, I guess, set that up
but your
for clients.
But your mindset, though, kind of looks at it that way, though.
Yeah.
So I like that approach.
Yeah. Because, like, if you don't know historically what your close rate is, what kind of leads you're going to get in, how you can project out things like that with contracts for the year, you really can't really project out your revenue and your expenses associated with those. So if you are tracking marketing, conversion rates, even just on a very basic level, you don't have to get super complex with it, but your close rate and how many leads come in and your best lead sources, things like that, that will help you with accounting wise too, like moving forward, obviously. So you can project out that.
Kind of.
Yeah, exactly. Like I just made my entire plan at the beginning of 2026. It was all based on historical numbers and, things can change, but that's how I know.
That stuff's so crucial though. Cause it's like, let's say I'm a contractor and I'm doing, maybe $1-2 million a year. Right. But all of a sudden it's starting to uptick. Right. And I think this is where people kind of struggle with that next level. Right. Because all of a sudden now you got demand up, right? You got to get production up. But now I'm thinking all these things like, what budget do I have? Like, can I hire? What can I forecast or expect? Like cash flow, because I'm throwing money into this job, but I'm not getting this until this. Accounts receivable is high. Erin, what the hell do I do? Like, I'm losing my mind and I'm scaling this business. I should be happy and I'm overwhelmed. Like, how do I handle this?
So much too. I think you have to just be, this is when I think it's really hard for a business owner who is, especially between 1 and 2 million. I think it's a very, very hard part for a business owner. You are still, maybe you're not physically doing a lot of the technical, you're not hammering the nails, as they say, but you're still very involved in the day-to-day, how it runs. So, but you have to make the time to sit back and actually get the real numbers to see what's going on in your business. You have to make the time so that you can say, hey, we have these jobs projected. I have this contract signed. It's April right now, almost May. Oh my God, it's almost May.
Crazy.
But we're supposed to start this in July, right? Do I have the people, like the capacity available, the workers available, or do I need to hire? Or maybe it is someone they wants to get off the tools and they want to replace themselves. That's a really big cost. That's a big spend. So to replace yourself as an owner is probably $150,000 a year or something like that, right? If you get a good solid person in there, you have to project for that. So there's all this planning involved, but you have to take the time, and I can attest to this personally. You have to take the time, a few hours a week, to just dive into things. If you're not physically doing your own books, that's cool. You can track all these other metrics and have somebody else track your books for you, but it's all these things that combine that you just have to look at and pay attention to.
Yeah. So if I'm meeting with my accountant like once a month, is there certain numbers or reports that I should be looking at every time? Like, is it just like those tax reports? Is there certain things that kind of like give me some insights to kind of evaluate?
Yeah, I want to know my gross profit. So that's your income minus your cost of goods, basically. So are you making money on the jobs, and like what percentage that is? Your job profitability. So like I said, and I do think it's super important, because I get a lot of clients that, I do kitchen remodels, I do bathroom remodels, I do gutters, I do siding.
Everything.
Track what, like the jack of all trades, I call them. Track what your best revenue source is, because then start leaning in on that too. So
do you ever have people change their business based off of you starting to do that, where they're doing a million different services and all of a sudden they realize that 75% of their revenue is coming from like 2 of these core services, their profit margin's better, all that, and then all of a sudden they've they finally make the shift to kind of
Sure.
become super focused.
Yeah, sure. I also think like
Crazy.
it is. It's like, and it's also, even if you go to marketing as an example. So I talk a lot about this with accountants too. Like, you can be the jack of all trades in whatever you do, but how are your marketing dollars being spent? If you can focus in, like if you can realize you can focus in your marketing specifically on a special niche, right? If you just want to be really great at kitchen remodels, think of how much money you're saving, or you're getting an ROI on those dollars towards marketing. So the same thing goes
So
towards your
true.
operations. Like internally, you can set up great operations by focusing on one thing. You can train your staff better or your team better. So there's all these things that go into place. So sure, yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, if we get like a
makes life
handyman
easier.
type, it gets yes,
It makes life easier for everybody.
it does.
100%. So what about, software, right? Like, do you guys have any preferences or thoughts on what contractors should be using? Do you not really care? Does it not matter?
Oh. So I have like this idea that everybody should have like a 3-type ecosystem in a way.
Yeah.
So it should be your accounting software. So we're a QuickBooks Online shop, I guess you call it.
Yep.
It's just the most popular one out there.
Everybody's using it.
They are, honestly.
Yeah.
There's different issues with Intuit themselves who owns it, but that's different. But
That could
that's
be a
the
whole
one.
episode right there, right?
That's yeah.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
then
yeah.
yep, especially from the accounting side. But
Yeah.
so QuickBooks is, I think, the go-to. And I also don't think you should, just because you, like I said before, just because you learn how to use a program doesn't make you an accountant. But
No.
QuickBooks
But
Online.
get one though. Have one. Have a software.
That's right.
at least.
That's right.
Yeah.
Or like if you're just starting out, really, really small, like you're really just starting out, I don't encourage you just to go open a QuickBooks file just because someone told you to. There is
Yeah.
nothing wrong with tracking something on Excel. You can easily create a profit and loss that you can track by month and just go through. That also helps you figure out where your expenses are going if you're going every month and adding them up manually. Obviously, there's AI now that you can have it do it, but
Get a business card though, at least, right? Get a business account for those transactions, at least organized.
yes, at 100% set up a business account. Always do that. Always do that. But like, you don't have to
Always.
set up QuickBooks. I would
Yeah.
prefer someone has no idea what they're doing to not set up QuickBooks.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
Yeah, and then we do partner with JobTread. So we used to be like a big builder trend firm, but they're just so clunky. So when JobTread came out, I was like, oh my God,
Oh,
this
yeah,
is
we're
it.
team- we're
It's
team
kind of like
JT
when,
too.
yeah, it's kind of like when Go
Oh,
High
yeah.
Level came out because of HubSpot. In HubSpot, like I feel like it's very similar in a way, but like, so
Go High
JobTread,
Level stole a lot of business.
yeah,
Oh yeah.
it did. But it just set up just basic job costing. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. Start with that. If you can't afford, I mean, JobTread is very reasonably priced, but even if you can't, you can set up an Excel file for that. But we obviously partner with JobTread. Different industries though, like if you're, some places use Jobber, which is a good one for like maintenance and
Yep.
pools, but I know there's a couple things out there. We do have a lot of roofers that are starting to go towards JobTread, but they use things like
Roofers.
AccuLinks and JobNimbus.
Roofers, get your butt off AccuLinks, all right? It looks like it was born in 1998. Get on
That's right.
JT, all right? And
Yeah,
speaking of
yeah.
1998, that brings me to a question here. I refuse to get off QuickBooks Desktop. Is that a good idea or a bad idea?
You sound like me. I went off QuickBooks Desktop kicking and screaming.
You did?
I did.
Just like everybody else?
Well, QuickBooks Desktop is an accounting program. It was built for accountants.
It's legit.
Okay. QuickBooks Online is obviously a completely different interface, but it is built for the DIY. It is not built for. They don't even have the words debits and credits in there. So from an accounting
How did that
standpoint,
happen, though? How did
I don't
that
know.
happen? How did they go from this server thing that you have to like log into that is so old school to a new system that's not as good as XYZ?
probably just their marketing. I don't really. They just want to attract everybody so someone can just log on and do it. Oh, you connect to banks? Good, you're done. Your bookkeeping is good.
So now that you guys are on QuickBooks Online, were you able to kind of get what you were missing out of QuickBooks Desktop, you think?
I mean,
or is it still...
that was, yeah, like several years ago we moved over. My company file was the last one to go, actually, 3 or 4 years ago. But no, you definitely can. Also, the other problem with QuickBooks Online, though, I will say, is that because it's opened up its API to all these programs, people just all of a sudden just turn it on. Oh, it's there. I'll just turn it on. And I'm like, oh my God, no, please don't. That's the one. I think that was one of the biggest benefits of QuickBooks Desktop. It was very difficult to integrate. So it just screws a lot of stuff up. Like even, I mean, JobTread's a wonderful program, but if it's not set up right and you just hit sync, you will screw so much stuff up, and it can really destroy your file if it's not
I think
done
that's
well.
the
So
scariest thing is when you sync up something in QuickBooks, thinking could
it
this
is.
go wrong?
It is because there's no mass delete in QuickBooks.
No,
Like
no.
there is not. It's
It's
individual.
like it's a nightmare, right? It's an
It
absolute
is.
nightmare. So what about, so I'm going to ask you more about that because we'll talk about the integrations and stuff like that because that's obviously a hot topic. But I want to start with cost codes. No one knows what the heck to do with cost codes, right? So we're looking at something like QuickBooks Online and JobTread, right? That's how you map them up.
hmm
How should I handle cost codes? Why are they important? You know, does anybody know? Like,
Does anybody know? It's a good question. Should have
yeah,
Chris here with me. But one of our
yeah,
managers, Chris, handles all the integrations because for our firm.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah, yeah.
Well,
And
for our
so,
firm. Go ahead.
no, go ahead, You're good. If you
No,
got
well, I
something
was just
there,
gonna. Well, for our firm, as we handle it, I think you know this. We only handle it as it relates to QuickBooks. So
yeah, yeah,
like
yeah,
we did the integration, the cost codes, because the cost codes have to line up to the chart of accounts.
yeah,
And
a
so
hundred
like
percent.
so it depends how you map those. And a lot of times they're completely mapped wrong. And then the other thing is like sometimes, there's invoices going in and they're duplicating the revenue because there's deposits not tied out to the invoices and all these things and the payments. So that's where we come in with that stuff too.
Do you
So
like the integration though? Do you like when people do that, or not really?
oh, I think it's good if it's done well. I think
If it's done well.
I think if like anybody has the more insight into their business, the better. Yeah, it just needs to be managed well.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like if you are integrating JobTread with QuickBooks, I don't think it's like a once a month thing you clean up as
Yeah.
on the client side. Like we go in and reconcile at the end of the month and just figure out unapplied expenses, to unapplied jobs and stuff like that. But it's something you do have to maintain on a very regular basis.
And be careful it's not messed up, right? And make sure
Yeah,
everything's still
yeah. You have to
integrated.
be very careful with anything though. That's not just JobTread.
And
That's
I
any
think
like
that's
any
where
program.
like the monthly meetings too, right? Just like
hmm
that reinsurance, those checkpoints. Obviously, you can analyze the reports and whatnot, but just make sure there's
hmm
no issues there, no
hmm
surprises at the end of the
hmm
year. So
Yeah.
let's say now all of a sudden I'm growing and I'm a contractor. I'm doing remodels. I just hit 3 million, right?
hmm
And maybe I got a chance to meet with you in the beginning of the year, right? And I want to double my business, right? And I want to make sure that my profit margins don't decrease drastically, right?
hmm
What, like, do you have any advice for me, I guess, like at that beginning of the year standpoint to be able to hit those metrics, like what to kind of follow? Maybe there's KPIs or certain things to think about.
I mean, I always like to. So if you have like what you're doing, your service dialed in. Let's say you're only doing roofing, then you don't have to look at
Yep.
that because that's your. Um, I mean, I would just look at how you're pricing jobs. Definitely, I think people leave a lot on the table how they price. I don't, like, oh, I'm pricing well, but are you pricing enough? Right.
Or they don't even know, right? I think
Yeah.
not even knowing job costing or what their actual,
Yes.
I see
Yes.
that a lot.
Yes. And actually, one of the big things people say they're job costing, and I say, okay, what's your labor burden rate? And they're like, I don't know my labor burden rate. Well, I pay my guy $20 an hour, let's say. Well, that's not a labor burden rate. A labor burden rate is like an all-in rate for an employee. Like if you didn't have that employee there, you probably wouldn't have the expense. So what would that be? And that includes employer taxes, health insurance benefits, retirement. Some people go as nitty gritty as like the uniform shirt too. But I don't get that nitty gritty. But you
But
really need to know
still,
your labor burden rate. Like labor is our highest cost, pretty much
when
for running most businesses.
I posted that actually in the Facebook group because I knew it
hmm
was going to cause a discussion, if you will, because
hmm
everybody says something different. And so when I
hmm
went through the comments, everybody was handling that a different way, or they
Were
weren't
they?
handling it 100%, right? There was no like this is the right approach of
hmm
handling that, right? And
The
so
labor
that's
burden
something.
rate.
Yeah, a hundred
Yep.
percent. And so it's like we're working with JobTread, so it's like when you have those line items for labor, you need to make sure when you're doing that unit cost, if you're using the rate, you
hmm
include some kind of multiplier
Yeah.
for that burden rate, right?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
a hundred
And
percent.
whatever
And
that is, it just has to be consistent, and you have to
mm-hmm,
update it. Like so, if your
mm,
people get a raise or whatever, or your health insurance goes up, you have to remember to update it.
Update that 100%. And then also too, like overhead. I think that some people like they're not including that in the budgeting for their projects, right?
Yeah.
So like,
Like
should
I
they be
still have
using a
to,
percentage, or should they be doing is it the same thing where it's just got to be consistent, just like the burden rate basically, and updating
I
it?
think I would be consistent, but just constantly watching your overhead. So really having a control on your expenses too. I know now, I swear to God, every day I go through my books and I find $20 to $50 a month that I'm spending on something I didn't even know I was spent. Like, I'm like, what is this? So just, you have to have super tight control of your expenses, which can be difficult, especially the bigger you get, because you just get a lot more expenses.
You
So
gotta audit it too, basically.
you
What you're
do.
saying.
You
Yeah.
do. And actually there are like, there are really good tools now. You can actually just dump like a transaction list into Claude or something and just say,
Mhm.
give me all my subscriptions. And that
Yeah.
actually, and it's almost easier than I hate to say this, going through QuickBooks, but that's what you can do too. So there's tools available. Say, just dig through this and see where all my monthly subscriptions are, or what I'm paying, or whatever it is. But I mean, there's also hidden stuff too that you don't really
You
realize.
like
They're not
Claude?
going
I
to
can
pick up.
tell. I like it.
I'm a Claude person. I was
She's a
ChatGPT
Claude
and then I
girl.
found
I
Claude.
freaking love it. Let's go. So you guys are in Claude. Make sure you're getting Claude, syncing it
Ugh.
up to JobTread if you're on there, right? Even doing
Yeah.
stuff with your expenses. Look at that. I love that. And so, one thing is a little off topic, but so you guys are a social media stars over here, it looks like. Hey, so it's
Stars.
like
That's so
you guys are
funny.
supposed to be boring. You're supposed to, maybe be, a bald man or something that's in his 60s, right? But instead, you guys are social media superstars over here. How did that kind of go about? I was looking, all of a sudden, you guys had, 50,000 likes on some post. Where did this kind of come
Oh.
about? What is
Oh,
this,
that's
what does this
hilarious.
do for the business?
So, I don't know if it's super, that's hilarious. No,
You
I
have fun
have
with
just,
it too, I can tell.
we do. We have a lot of fun. So I've just always been on social media. Like for years, we've really leaned in heavily. Like before, when it was like, oh, be on your business page, like when your business
Yeah.
page was like a thing. So that's been at least a decade of being on there. And I was like a huge fan of like, I don't know if anybody's heard of Utility by Jay Bear. Basically give away knowledge for free. We're actually a
Yep.
case study in his book. But
Oh, that's cool.
so it started like that, and then I was just really into like groups. I probably spent way too much time on Facebook. That's probably what happened.
You can make a lot of
But
money on Facebook.
you can,
Mhm.
and it just naturally progressed. And so when back in 2021 or 2022, we decided to lean into the personal brand. Through me, I mean, I have a very unique personality compared to most accountants. I also like to have a lot of fun. I'm very blunt and in your face too. So it just kind of worked out. And then
Mhm.
we just started doing, I hired someone a couple of years ago and she helped me start doing stupid reels with this dancing and stuff like that. And people really like it. And I think it's
They
so
love it.
bizarre.
They
I don't
love
know
it.
why. It's
They
so
love it.
bad. We're not
They
even
love just
good.
hanging
Well,
out. They
I'm
just
not
love
good.
hanging out with you guys.
Oh, yeah, we have, and like, I also, a lot of the stuff you see around the office is me just doing what I do on a regular basis. Like, I have a box of costumes. So it's just fun. I just like to have
You
fun.
have
My
a
whole
box of
mentality is,
costumes?
yes, I love it. I love it.
You
So,
just
yeah.
like doing it. Hey, you're all in. It's cool
Yeah.
because you're basically leaning into a strength here. So even though you're an
Yes.
accountant, right, to the numbers, you also have some other strengths that you'd like to lean into, right?
Yes.
With the
Yes.
marketing side, and it's made a drastic impact on the business, right? So
Yes.
good for
Yes.
you guys. Do you guys have any kind of insights on that? Because every contractor goes to a freaking conference and they're told, I need to make content. I need to make reels. I need to make videos, right? And they don't know where the heck to start. So I need some accountant's advice on some marketing.
So, it's accountant's advice on some marketing.
Who would have
This
thought?
is actually my primary role is marketing. I don't really do the accounting anymore, but
Yeah,
marketing and sales.
yeah. I
But
love it.
my advice
me
is
too.
be authentic as you be yourself. Like people, I think, try to get on there, and also nobody. You don't really ever see us talk about taxes or 1099s or anything like that. Like nobody cares about that on social media at all. So just be yourself and just like don't be afraid to like look stupid if that's your personality. Obviously, one of our biggest videos, I'm wearing a genie hat and she's wearing a freaking like a yodeling hat, and we look idiots. And
Why do you
So
think that works though? Is it like a relatability?
yes,
Is it just like the
relatable.
authentic?
I
Yeah,
I
100%.
think it is. I think it is. Yeah. Yeah. It's
Like,
just so funny. Yeah. Uh-huh.
go ahead, Aaron.
Well, I was at the Endless Customers conference a couple weeks ago, like Marcus Sheridan's company,
Yeah.
and the CEO, he was actually at JobTread, came up to me and he was like, Erin, and all these people came up, Erin, we've been watching your videos. We can't wait to implement what you're doing at Endless Customers. And I was like,
Is that the
what?
best feeling in the world though?
What? I
Because
was
what
like, you want to
happens with
dance around like
content
an
like
idiot?
that is they're building a relationship with you without
Yes,
you even knowing it.
that's
So
it.
then when you
That's
go
it.
into that sales cycle, there's trust and a connection that you don't have to knock down those obstacles that you usually do from like a colder lead that comes in
That's
that
true. Yeah.
hasn't watched your content.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I've had people where, they woke up at 4 a.m. and start ripping YouTube videos and then all of a sudden they book a call and sign up right away. Right? Because
Yes.
it's
That,
a
yeah.
different experience, right?
It is.
So
They do feel like they know you. They might even talk to me like in a call and they still feel like they know me. So, I mean,
they do
and
know you.
they, yes, I've had people come up and be like, Erin, I'm like, who are you? I don't know you.
Yeah.
It's so bizarre. So I don't know. It's just fun. I also just like to have fun. I never wanted my firm to be like this boring accounting firm where you're wicked stuffy. And I just can't stand that. Like that's so we
100%.
only live once. Let's have fun while we're like it's one of our values is have fun because I just
See,
can't. I can't be too serious like all the time.
that's
It's
another
too
thing.
much.
Make sure you have your core values. People
Oh
think they
yeah,
don't make a difference, but it makes
they
a
do.
big difference on the
Mhm.
culture of the company. So like
Mhm.
let's say, if I'm a contractor, like would you take kind of like the Marcus Sheridan approach where it's like they ask, you answer type thing, where it's like, what are the most popular questions you're getting all the time and you're making videos on that? Are you trying to
Yes.
blend that in with some personality too, with like
Yes.
local community? Would that be kind of a direction that you would take?
Oh yeah, I think I especially contractors. Like actually one of my good friends, he's a sales guy for a roofing company locally and he was like he does videos randomly and I was like, "Dude, you have a great personality. What you need to do is just say cuz I don't know things about like oh, I don't do a good hook and then just talk about power washing your roof because I always hear about that. I don't know if it's good or bad or whatever. So I
Mm-hmm.
just said tell
Polarizing.
a story, teach it, but make it engaging. So he actually got up on the roof the next day, and all of a sudden I was like pew pew pew, and I'm like, shots fired, and I'm like what is he doing? And he was showing a bullet had landed into a roof by someone shooting it in the in the sky, and it landed. So it was great, and I was like
Oh, that's
that's what you need.
fantastic.
So you answered a question, like you made it entertaining. You answered it. He stuck with his personality, and he still provided information as to what happens, how it affects the roofs, and also how dangerous it is. But
So good.
that's all you have to do is just answer the questions that people ask you all the time. And I think contractors have such an opportunity with that.
Such an opportunity. You can
Yeah,
really stand out because there's not enough people
absolutely.
doing it well. So, Aaron, before I ask you some more questions, I wanted to say what's the best way to get a hold of you guys? Because I'll tell you this, I've worked with hundreds and hundreds of contractors. There's such a high percent that don't have the plan in place. Maybe they
Hmm.
finally get to the point where they're doing their tax stuff, prep a little bit, but there's no strategy, there's
Hmm.
no guidance, no expertise. How do they reach out to you guys and get synced up with you guys?
So our website is levelaccountingfirm.com. You can just go check us out. We do have a lot of stuff on there about, accounting and contractors and all that stuff that, the Endless Customers Framework. You can just book a call right there. I'm on Facebook, obviously. So Erin H. Andrews, I think it is. Everybody always asks if I'm the other Erin Andrews, and I am not. But
You're not a
through
sports
there's
reporter?
all the time. I was from Mass, and so is she.
You
I,
do a
I
little of
get it
everything.
like once a week. I get it still. So but yeah, the other I'm not. Yeah, are you Erin Andrews? Yes, I am. Just not the one you're thinking.
No, you are the
So
Erin Andrews. That's the other
yeah,
Erin Andrews, right?
that's it. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they can also, like reach out hello at levelaccountingfirm.com. Just
Yeah.
yeah,
So make
pretty
sure you
pretty
guys are
simple.
hitting them up. They're brilliant. They have a fun time and they're specialized, right? I push this on contractors all the time. Be specialized. Find what you're best at and
Yes.
just do that.
Yes.
That's exactly what Aaron and the team does at Level, right? So
Hmm.
they're focusing on contractor problems and solutions all day, every day, right? So
Hmm.
that's what you want when you're looking at a partner, someone who's niche and specialized.
Yes, sir.
So what about some advice, right? Is there anything that you guys are talking about a lot to your clients in terms of advice? It could be, budgeting, things that are going on in the space, any kind of common mistakes, anything like that you guys are seeing pretty frequently?
Well, what we've already talked about it a lot. One of the main things I think people should do is track their KPIs. Like
Mm-hmm.
on a regular weekly, monthly basis, depending, have their team track them too to hold them accountable. So you're not doing it all and you have like one big dashboard that you look at.
Yeah.
That can give you tremendous insight. You can get even super granular. You don't have to at first. That's definitely something that people are not doing. I don't even know why it's never really been talked about until like the past 4 years. I swear, it's just
Because I
never
think they
became
don't
a
know
thing.
what KPIs to be following. I think that's
Yeah.
part of it, right? Because everybody says these buzzwords, right? I say them all the time.
Yeah,
It's
it's
like,
true.
you gotta have KPI. But it's like, well, what KPIs should I be following, right? And
That's a
so I
great
think they
question.
become overwhelmed and then they just say,
Yep.
screw it.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Like, what do you
Yep.
think?
So I actually just hosted a webinar on this, a workshop with JobTread in January.
Yeah.
So, but there's a lot. So it's job profitability. It's basically, am I making money on jobs? What my overhead is? What is my revenue per employee? What percentage are my leads closing? You know, my lead close rate. And there's a bunch you can track. It really depends on how
Mhm.
granular you want to get.
Yeah. And this
but
is like
looking,
a process too, right? You
Oh,
go
yeah.
through this with, and then you kind of identify it. It's not like some easy thing, right?
and also what your priority is. Like
Mhm.
looking at your bank account cash balance in the bank is not a KPI. Like
It's
it's
not.
not. That's what I will say first.
Why is that? But that's how much money I have though.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. No, you have outstanding checks, things like that. Anything. So
Well,
yeah,
why
that
does that
doesn't.
matter though? You know what I mean?
Ugh.
Like if I owe money and
Yeah.
if there's accounts
Yeah.
payable and accounts receivable, why does that matter? It's the bank account. Like what about accounts receivable? Do you ever see some ridiculous
Oh yeah.
accounts receivable?
Oh,
Because I've seen some
it
scary things.
it kills me when I see high accounts receivable because I'm like, dude, you're taking out lines of credit to cover payroll,
Yeah.
but you have $750,000 in AR. What the hell are you doing?
100%.
Like just get your collections in line, get good deposits, have automatic payments, like payment agreement forms that you collect payment automatically upon completion at whatever stage the thing is. But people that have crazy AR, that's wild to me. It's
Yeah.
that is something you need. That's
wanna be
probably
able to
the
sleep
first
at
thing
night.
I would say. No, because why? Like you're probably not going to collect all of it, 150,000. You're probably going to collect what,
And the later
70%
it's
of it,
out.
most likely.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So I would probably say if you have a huge AR balance or you have a cash flow issue, I would definitely tackle that first. Like get safeguards in place.
Yeah.
That admin, maybe if you outsource your accounting, now you have that admin. Her job is to go collect fees and make sure your
Having
contracts are really
someone
tight.
for something like that, if it's a problem,
Oh, yeah.
I think is essential. Because right now, it's like what I see is there's not enough urgency
Yeah.
to get it or to send that invoice. I've seen people miss like $30,000 invoices where it's like they didn't even realize it, right? Like have somebody who is responsible
my
for
God.
getting your money, right?
I had someone paint my house this fall.
Yeah.
She has still not sent me the bill. I have been like, can you send me a bill, please? I want to pay you, please.
That is wild to me.
Wild, right?
That is
Wild.
wild to me.
Wild. Yeah.
So it's like
and she's not. Yeah.
yeah, cash flow, right? I think.
Yep.
What about like cash flow? Because it's like, people, as they scale, sometimes they want to take on bigger jobs, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now I see people go from residential to commercial. That was a big thing that I saw in like roofing, right?
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden now you're putting hundreds of thousands of dollars
And
into
the collection time
project.
is a lot longer.
Is low. You know what I mean? Like, is there, hey, Erin, I want to do this. Should I be aware of or like plan accordingly and make sure I have
Yeah.
capability?
So obviously commercial has a much longer collection time, typically, in my experience anyways. But
and they'll
I
hold
think
it longer on you. And
yeah,
BS.
yeah. And so I think what people should do is plan ahead and then get like some kind of line of credit. If they know they're, you can't
I agree with that.
cash flow
I like that.
everything, but plan ahead. So mistakes I see are people didn't plan ahead. So when they need the money, they're just in this horrible spot and they can't get approved for that line of credit or the loan because they're in this really bad spot now and they're kind of screwed. So you actually want to get the loan when you're doing really well. When you have the
Amen.
money, when you have the cash, so that when you do need it, it's there. You're not scrambling later on to try to get it. And then that's why I see these daily loans happening, like those like merchant
Shark.
processor or whatever they are, those $600 whatever day loans. So
like
you just
illegally almost rates.
yeah, there is a vendor actually at JobTread now who's helping refinance those for people at a much lower
that's
rate.
cool.
Just yeah,
That's
yeah,
a
I
cool
met
idea.
him. Anyways, yeah, I mean it's good to
Yeah.
do. So, anyways.
Um, not forget what I was gonna say. I had a really important question that I was gonna go off on that. Man, that was exciting too. Oh, the
Shoot.
line of credits, because
Mm.
I think that's a big thing. So especially in the construction world, like even with me, I've always had tried like lean, mean, fighting machine companies. Whenever I was throwing money into hiring, right? I'm like, I'm gonna spend X amount, $100,000.
Uh-huh.
Before I did that, I would just go
Yeah.
get a line of credit,
That's it.
right? And just in case I needed it. It was like
Just
a
in case.
safety net where it's like, hey, we're
Yes.
doing okay. I think this is a good decision, but just in case something goes haywire,
Yeah.
I don't want to be freaking out and everything's on fire
That's
and I'm
it.
trying to get access to funds, right?
Yeah.
I have
Yeah.
a net, and so I sleep good at night. Like that's part
Yeah.
of being a business owner is how do you get to sleep well at night and getting these numbers
Oh
and
yes.
having
100%.
it helps you sleep because now you're not guesstimating, right? Like now you're not just guessing. Hey, I think I got this money coming in. I think this is already paid.
That's
This is
it.
the bank, because always you're playing
Yeah.
this game that you're just kind of guesstimating.
Yeah. And but also like how do you get that loan? You need to have super clean books. You need to show a profit. So people that just try to get their I don't want to pay tax, which I get, obviously I understand, but you're in business to make money. So you also have to show a profit. So there's all that stuff that goes into it. And I would also say, get it if you're doing residential, getting a good finance company for your clients too, I think is like a huge opportunity. I don't really
Huge.
understand. There's so many. I'm actually trying to find a finance company for what we do because we have some larger install fees like
We offer
up front.
financing too. Same
They
thing.
don't offer it, but they don't offer it for my industry. But Contractors is everywhere. And I'm like, why aren't you offering financing? There's like an 87% higher close rate if you offer financing or something like that.
100%. So it was
Yeah.
like 60% of Coachella tickets or 70% were financed. So if they're financing freaking Coachella tickets,
That's it.
right? Do you think that deck or that remodel that they want? Do
Yeah.
you think they want a financing thing? And you close them on the spot, right? You
Yes.
take a hit, but you close them on the spot, right? So now
Yeah.
your sales cycle, the time.
But
that
then you
put
don't have to
all
worry
into-
about collections.
Yeah,
'cause it's
exactly.
like
You're eliminating
so-
all that. It's worth it.
Yeah.
It goes straight to the bank account too, right? So
Yeah.
for me, I think that's something for sure that's big. So, as we kind of bring this to a close here, I'm going to be putting you on the spot here for a closing statement. So I'll give you a little bit of time. You could have a motivational quote. You could have, a book you're reading. I could care. It could be anything you want to kind of close them out, but I do appreciate it. And one more time here. So what's the best way to get a hold of you guys?
Levelaccountingfirm.com or hello@levelaccountingfirm.com.
Boom.
Probably the
I
best.
love it. So make sure you guys are hitting Erin up. They're killing it at Level. They got a little spice to them, so you gotta like that, right? So, Erin, it's your time to shine. All right. If you want to sing a song, you could do that. Even
Don't
could
tempt
see your
me.
talent. You could put on an outfit. Bring in your social media team and close it out that way. Whatever the hell you want to do.
What do I want to do? Talk about my obsession with medieval history.
Yeah, there you go.
What I would recommend is, and I'm not just saying this to like, I just really, I had a friend that just went through this, is why I'm saying it. If you don't have a handle on your books and you're really stressed out, not just as an accountant, this is as a business owner. If you don't really know what's going on, you just have to take the time, and it could take you months to figure out where your money is going and forecast ahead. It just will literally help you sleep better. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not saying this as an accountant. I'm saying this as a business owner. And just really pay attention to what you're doing, because you cannot grow if you don't have it, and it will literally help you sleep better and plan ahead.
So true.
But yeah, I can't.
Decision fatigue, right? That's the number one thing I see, and I personally have, right? When my wife is like, "What do you want for dinner?" and I'm like, "I just had to make a million decisions. I don't even want to think of that," right?
Mm-hmm.
If you make your decisions easier because you have the information you need to make those decisions,
Yes, that's it.
it's a little bit easier to make those. Doesn't take as much energy, right?
It does,
because
yeah.
you got the insight to make a confident decision quickly.
Yeah.
So I
And
think
we also have
that's huge.
all this other stuff in our business that we have to work through, like employees, culture, like clients. We deal with clients. So if you can just remove one aspect of stress, which is a big part of it, it just will just make your life so much easier and bearable. And you get that extra line of credit in, just sit there just in case. And also my other recommendation is be leery of taking on partnerships. That's my other recommendation. Not all partnerships
That could
are
be
great
a whole
ideas.
other. I think she just left the cliffhanger to try to get on another episode all about partnerships, because that's a hot topic and an interesting
yeah.
one for sure. The pros and cons, right? But hey, everybody, Erin, first off, thank you so much. You guys are killing it. I love what you guys are doing at Level. So best of luck with everything. Make sure you guys are reaching out because I'm telling you, they can make a major impact. This is one of the core components of your business. And honestly, your sanity, right? So
Ugh.
remember, guys, better starts now. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Contractor's Edge. We're trying to equip you with all of the tools and resources and information to give you guys that edge to start building those better businesses. Like, subscribe, share, and we'll see you next time. Boom, cry.